going to teach you or explain to you how to have perfect teeth. All right, welcome Dr. Judd with us, please.
It's a great pleasure that you're there. If it wasn't for you there, I wouldn't be here. And I want to express also my gratitude to Dean Stoner for all the things that he has done, giving me an opportunity to talk to you. There are 2 or 3 things I want to bring to your attention today. Number one is I want to empower you in the next few minutes to go out there in the world and teach everyone else how to end all cavities, all gingivitis, gum infection, and to do a good job of it. There's no reason in the world why everybody, from the time they're a child until they're gone out of this earth, they should not have perfect teeth. I'll tell you why and try to get the explanations out to you in the next little few minutes. The other thing I want to do is make sure that you become a perfect teacher in this process. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Now, I want to start with number 1. And in doing this, I'm going to demonstrate the method of perfect teaching. You walk up to your friend, or no, you're not your friend, somebody in a post office. I've been in long lines in a post office. And tap him on his shoulder and say, I have something to tell you. What is it? This crazy guy from Arizona thinks he knows how to stop all tooth cavities in the whole world. He does? What does he say? He says the only thing that destroys teeth are acids, like grapefruit, oranges, lemons, strawberries, all those tart things. And then a light goes on in this person's mind. You're smiling at them, and they're happy to see you because you're smiling. No other reason. And also the light went on their brain. Of course, acids, what they do, they'll eat your skin, they'll eat iron, they'll eat rust, they'll eat metals, they'll eat... Why didn't I think about they'd eat the teeth? And you know what this guy says? He says there are billions of animal and human remains on the face of the earth, and the flesh is all eaten up. The bacteria apparently have been there. The only thing that's left, the teeth, enamel, and the bones. So apparently, bacteria have nothing to do with teeth. And you're smiling at them, and they're thinking, what a nice person. And they're not thinking about you at all. They're thinking about the crazy chemist from Arizona. So you displaced your teaching from yourself to somebody else. That's what a parable is. Displace the teaching from yourself to someone else so they don't get jealous, so they don't feel like you're trying to pull something on. The chemist, so they don't try to pull his bull, they know everything in the world. Excuse me for that word, explaining, they're not going to help you. They're going to go on and on and on about the greatness and give you nothing when you're through. So you reject them because they don't teach. They don't teach you in the right way, or else they don't care to teach you. So number 1 is acids destroy the teeth. Now to stop it, that's the most important thing. You always have water at the meal. You drink a little sip of water after your grapefruit. The water reacts chemically with water right now, and it's down the hatch, off your teeth, where it belongs. Chemistry is a time thing. The longer you leave it on the teeth, the more enamel it dissolves, goes through. There's no such thing as tooth decay. No such thing as tooth decay. Remember that. We talked about the animals and humans, right? Isn't that enough proof? The bacteria have nothing to do with teeth. There's no carbon or hydrogen in the teeth. But anyway, this idea of rinsing with water will take care of all the teeth in the world, everywhere. Water reacts chemically with water, with acids, to form hydronium ion, H3O. Very simple. Isn't that neat? Everyone in this world. And you can teach them by displacing your teaching from yourself, smiling at them, and it goes right to the heart. The next thing you want to do, the next thing I do, next thing my friends do, and my friend Adam, where he is somewhere here, did 2 times now since he's been here. He's brushed with hand soap. He says they're clean. Something different, they're clean. No big gagging, nothing like that. In fact, I brushed after lunch. Wanted to get the bread off my teeth. So, holiday bar. Took my brush out of my pocket. It takes me too long to get it out. Anyway, across the water, across the bar 2 or 3 times. All the oils and everything are off the teeth. And then brush gently along the gums because it kills the infection. No more gingivitis. Bacteria are killed by soap. Insects are too, white flies, but bacteria are killed by soap. Just brush your teeth gently. Don't tear them up. Don't cut your teeth by flossing. I flossed once in my life. Not necessary. Brush your teeth gently. Do a good job. And then water in the mouth 3 times or something like that. And your teeth are so clean you can't believe it. Now I know what I'm talking about because I put paste on the wash basin and I put soap later, but I put paste on the wash, I put some water on it, toothpaste. Beaded again, beaded again, beaded again. Drops. You can see the beaded, so this glycerin sticks to the surface. All toothpastes have glycerin. Avoid them. All pastes, they have to have glycerin to make them up. No matter what else is in them. Just throw it out. I tried it with soap once. I put some soap on there and cleaned it off, Washed off the soap and then water. And then put some soap with a brush, and then I put some water on it. Beat it just a bit on the edge. Again, that's the end. No more beating. Your teeth are clean, and the gums are disinfected. Isn't that nice? It's cheaper too, isn't it? A bar of soap for the rest of your life. And my life too. I'm not trying to sell something, except the knowledge in this handbook. I've got it's 117 pages, thousands of hours in here. It's a handbook of perfect teeth. Tells all about it. A lot I'm not going to tell you right this moment because I don't have time. So much for that. Now the next thing is to remember the teeth are made of calcium phosphate. Calcium phosphate. How do I know? It's in the Handbook of Chemistry and Physics in 1941, I think it's 40. The composition of teeth. Sodium phosphate. Almost 100%. No carbon. So, take calcium in a diet and phosphate in a diet and it rebuilds just like your bones, just like your flesh, just like everything in your body. And children, it's 10 times faster than adults. The enamel will reform. You can't grow a tooth, I don't think. I met one guy said he did, but 1 in 10 million, I don't. But anyway, but your enamel will recrystallize. And plaque is nothing but bad enamel. It forms down here in the bottom because that's where the water and saliva is. And they can't get on the tooth, so it gets down here and washes it away. And you have bad crystals, and so they stick to the teeth. Dentist comes along and rips them off. It makes in my case, he made a hole almost to the nerve. But whatever, you don't have to worry now about cleaning the teeth. They're clean. Take calcium and phosphate in a diet. You'll have to call me. I don't have it here about phosphate because there's no supplement store. Call me and I'll give you a telephone number. You call them up and order the phosphate, and you can take about that much each day. That's for the bones, the teeth, the DNA, the RNA, 33 enzymes, the skull, and all these things in the body that need phosphate. And the doctor told me once, you don't need phosphate. We get plenty of it. You can't. But it's a supplement. Eggs are some in it, nuts are some in it, but we take supplements for other vitamins, minerals, so take that one. The other thing that I haven't finished now is the gums sometimes are severed from the teeth, not only by this plaque pushing it away from dirty teeth, from toothpaste of any kind, but also from the fluoride which severs the gums from the teeth. By the way, I worked on fluoride in 4 different laboratories. I worked on atomic energy. I worked at Purdue making compounds out of it. I made at Wright Field some more, another contract at Phoenix College. I learned how to analyze for it in water, and so I found out that reverse osmosis and distillation are the only ways to get clean. But anyhow, fluoride destroys 66 of our enzymes. And I think, do you think we need enzymes? We keep alive with them. Baby death, miscarriages, all those things are lack of enzymes. Fluoride destroys them. Does a good job. It's a nerve poison. They killed a kid in a dentist chair in Midville, Oregon, about 5 years ago. Just by putting this gel in their mouth to harden their teeth, he swallowed half a teaspoonful of it, he's dead. His brother nearly died, saved him by giving him an antidote to fluoride. But anyway, so much for that. Now you know how to have perfect teeth. Rinse the acids off. Any tart stuff, T-A-R-T, look it up in the dictionary if you don't know what it means. Any tart stuff, it eats the teeth. And especially if you throw up. That's powerful. Take your mouth and rinse it out. The next thing is brush with hand soap. The next thing is take calcium and phosphate in the diet. And you know how to get it. Walgreens for vitamins, for calcium with vitamin D in it. And the phosphate, call me up. And well, it's the fourth thing now. The fourth thing is vitamin C for your gums. Now, and it's for your connective tissue, and for your brain tissue, and for all the tissue in your body. I see people with bruises on their varicose veins and yellow skin. They don't take enough vitamin C, but I have a better way of taking it. And you get a little card. The cards are free. I got hundreds of them here, and I got 22,000 I made at home to let you know and empower you to do the teaching. One final thing, I think I'll end. I mean, I know I'll end. I hope it's not the end of me, but anyway. The great master taught with parables. The parable of the prodigal son, I like that because, well, I had a prodigal son for a while, and I've had a prodigal daughter almost dead. Excuse me, I've had trouble with girls too. And they are prodigal, and it's terrible. But anyway, and I'm going to make a little story up. Don't believe it's all from a Bible. Dad, I'm leaving, and I'm packing. I'm getting ready to go. Why? I don't like this farm. I don't want to feed anything. I'm tired. I want to get out there and work where I can earn my own living. I don't want you to go, son. I'm leaving, Dad. Just take your mind up. That's the way they do. They'll sneak out. So he said, look, it's hard going out there. You've been working hard. I'll give you some money. I'll give you an inheritance. You take care of yourself while you're out there. Be careful. Don't overspend your money. Okay, see you. Out he goes. And after years, it's got to be years. I know it from a story. It's got to be years. He didn't have enough money anymore to buy food. But he did have a job feeding pigs. And they got food. And nobody's just going to give him his food, like prodigal sons and the prodigal girls. But he saw that fig food, and I think it looked good to me too. If I couldn't buy any food, I didn't want to die. I'd eat that food. So he was eating food, and after a while it began to dawn on him what he had done. I'm going back home where I can get some food. My father's employees do better than I do. So he come back home. And his father, being very observant, saw him a long way off. My son, I thought he was dead. I haven't heard from him forever. You run, and in my mind, this is what the son probably thought he's going to beat up on him. But anyway, he ran to meet him, and he grabbed him. Now remember, some of this is my input, but it's real. I'm so glad you're here. We thought you were dead. Pushed him away. Dad, all I want to do is be one of your employees. I will eat what you have and be glad for it, just to work for you, and I'll work hard. I won't be loafing around. And his father said, no, son. We thought you were dead. We're going to have a fatted calf, slaughtered. We're going to have a feast for all the people that ever knew you. Not only that, we're going to get some nice clothes for you to wear so you can enjoy it, because we thought you were dead, now you live. Now, the reason I told that is this. Jesus severed that whole story from himself. He wasn't in it at all, so they couldn't get jealous of him. That's what a parable is. No jealousy. You tell the story the way somebody else is responsible. And I think that's the main purpose for a parable, not just a story. Stories, you get the idea? Now you're the perfect teacher. You learn from me because I've told you, and it works. And they're not going to hate you, and you're going to smile at them when you talk. There's no reason to frown at somebody that's learning. Well, thank God for the opportunity of coming to talk to you. It's been a great pleasure. My book is $8. If you want it, I have 4 copies left. If you want to order a copy, just fill out a little card, and I'll send it to you, and you send me $8 in the mail, delivered cost. And call me if you want the phosphate telephone number. Hey, I'll give it to you. And also, it's on the little card.
No, he can't.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, something he's doing is right. They got 11 kids, him and his wife, and grandkids from here to everywhere. So something works. He'll be available, and you're not leaving until it's over. Anyway, our next presenter will be Dr. Ted Dungan of North Street, Michigan. He was a speaker for us about 6 or 8 years ago. He's a chiropractor and also an inventor. And what he's invented, I think it would be well for you to hear about, because he just recently has received a patent on it, and I think it could be really a tremendous device. So I kept him out of the 11 o'clock session because he's got 15 minutes today to kind of describe it to you and what it does in the way of helping you with your various health problems. So, welcome Dr. Ted Dungan with us today, and he's got a table back there too. Bring him on with a little warm welcome.
Thanks, Dean.
Speak up.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. Dean was always telling me to speak up. He says I have one of those voices that just doesn't project. So, you know, I was going to come out and tell a couple of bad jokes, but I changed my mind since I don't have that much time. But I appreciate the warm hands, like the cow said to the farmer on a cold winter's morning. Thanks for the warm hands. So that's the only bad joke I'm going to tell. I promise. Okay. People have gotten after me about my bad jokes. I want to start at the very beginning about energy. Remember when we were in high school, they told us that an atom was the smallest part of any one thing, and that there was a center called the nucleus, and there were electrons revolving around the outside in an elliptical type of orbit. And that's all it was, just a center, and these electrons are going around and around. Can you imagine the energy that's in those electrons? Think about the sun having shined on this earth for millions and millions of years, and all of this energy stored up on this earth. And when we need that energy, we take it in the form of food. And those little molecules and atoms in there are going around and around and around. Even if it is a stalk of broccoli or a piece of corn, whatever, you still got that energy in there. But we don't really think of food in those terms, do we? We're told that there's nutrition in the earth, and that the nutrients are absorbed by the plant, and then the sunlight is taken directly into the plant through a process called photosynthesis. The plant turns that sunlight energy into plant energy, and it makes broccoli, or it makes corn. Or if the cow eats the grass, it makes a cow. Well, when you and I eat it, we make us, okay? So what we're really talking about is nutrition in the form of the fact that it's all energy. And our body takes that energy and it overcomes the resistance to functioning. In order for your body to be controllable, there has to be some way, like an accelerator. You push on an accelerator, the car goes faster, okay? So there's a certain amount of energy that's required I'm sorry, I'm moving around. He's having trouble with the camera back there. I'll stay right here. It's because I'm anti-Irish. I just want to move all over the place. So the energy that's in that broccoli or in the corn is taken into our bodies and through a process called hydrolysis. Hydro means water, lysis means breaking down. We take that vibrational energy that originally was sun energy that's been stored up in the ground in the form of what we call nutrients, and then that comes into our body, and that energy is what gives us the power to overcome the resistance to functioning. So then our body begins to function more. If your pancreas needs to work faster, then it's like stepping on the accelerator. The brain sends down more energy, and you've got the energy to overcome the resistance to the functioning. But as we get older, or as we have injuries, maybe that pancreas begins to fill up with debris, or the kidneys fills up with debris. So now it's harder and harder to overcome that resistance to get that motion going again. It's like pushing down the accelerator. There's something stopping it. You can't push it, so you're not getting the speed out of it that you want. And the body begins to dysfunction. And as it begins to dysfunction, then it sets up all kinds of parasitic type things that can happen to it. And we call this going into a disease state. So we're talking about energy. And early today, people were talking about taking different vitamins and minerals and things of this nature, and that's great. That's how we get the energy to overcome the resistance to functioning. So when the body is not working right, if we can supply it with energy to overcome that resistance to functioning, then the body has the opportunity to heal itself. Okay? My father was dying from prostate and bone cancer. And we were able to, through nutrition and through natural means, many of you may know the name Ed Sopke. Ed gave away a product called CanCell. So like 14,000 different people. Gave away free. Never charged a penny. He even paid for the postage on it. It was proven to be 85% effective with cancer and 92% with AIDS. So I was fortunate that we got in contact with Ed, and he gave us some. We used nutrition. We used, Dickie's going to tell you about enzymes. We used hydrogen peroxide, and we were able, through the energy that we were putting in Dad's body, to overcome the soft tissue cancer. But he still had the bone cancer. And each time that another scan was done, more cancer was shown in the bones. So I started getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going out to the library across from my bedroom, and I started praying. And from the very first day, I kept thinking, light drives out darkness. And I really didn't know what the significance of that was, and I really didn't pay any attention to it until every day that light drives out darkness kept getting louder and louder and louder and taking over my consciousness till I was thinking, why can't I get this out of my mind? So finally, after about 4 or 5 days, I sat down and tried to figure out, what does light drives out darkness mean? And I thought, well, what is light? And of course, God is light, and we're light, and we're made in His image. So I thought of light as being good, something that is necessary. And then I thought of darkness as being something, well, as a kid, you're afraid of darkness. Like the devil might get you. That's really bad. You know, boogie bears out there and all kinds of things. If you're not good, it's going to get you. That used to really work on me. I'd go to bed. And I thought of darkness as being disease. And all of a sudden it made sense. Light drives out disease. So what we need to do is get a light to go in there and drive out disease. But as I began working and thinking about this through the years, that's what food is. That's what nutrition is. That's what herbs are. That's what homeopathic remedies are. That's what happens when someone lays on hands and the energy comes into you. That's energy. And that energy gives you the ability to overcome dysfunction. So I started working on that, and I came up with this. And after 3 months of using this, 60 to 75% of my father's bone cancer had returned back to normal tissue. Okay? And I never thought of it in terms of for anybody else, because it was just my father I was praying for. It's him that I wanted to help. And my daughter had a tonsillitis that she'd had ever since she was born, it seemed like. And just before I came here, I asked her, Kimmy, how are your tonsils doing? She says, Dad, I haven't had any trouble since the first time. Her tonsils were so swollen, the one on the left side, that it was nearly touching the uvula, the little thing that hangs down, looks like a clamper on a bell. And I had a friend hold a flashlight, and I put the instrument on her, and nothing seemed to happen. And then all of a sudden, after about 4 seconds, it was like somebody let the air out of the balloon and it went shh, right back to normal. So she was 12 years old. She's 22 now. So when you give the body the energy that it needs, it will overcome the resistance to functioning and it will heal. This did not heal my father's bone cancer. It did not heal my daughter's tonsils. But what it did do was give the energy to the body so that the body could overcome its inability to function. Would you believe it if I told you I have seen herpes shingles disappear in 30 seconds? Bee stings and wasp stings, after 20 seconds you can't even tell where they were. The swelling goes down, the redness is gone. There's absolutely no pain. We have seen this instrument help people with their health problems and just about everything you can imagine. I had one lady come to me from Pennsylvania, and she was on dialysis 3 times a week. She was given a year, they said if you're very lucky, a year and a half to live. She stayed for a day and a half. We worked on her 3 or 4 times in that period of time, told her what to do for herself. She took an instrument home. I got a phone call in 6 weeks declaring that she had been taken off of dialysis because her kidneys are now working. Several months later, I got another phone call from Pennsylvania area, I believe it was. And she said she had just been to her specialist, who was a specialist, and he only worked on patients who had scleroderma, and that she was healed from scleroderma. He said, we've never had anybody to live with this, much less to be healed. So the point I'm trying to make is everything that we've been talking about is energy. We are energy. We are light energy. People who see the aura will tell you that there's an energy that comes out of this instrument that is on the same visual plane as the human aura, and you can see it being drawn right into the body. Now, not everybody that uses this instrument responds instantly, like from a bee sting or from the herpes shingles that we've seen. Sometimes you need to have it with you and use it 3 or 4 times a day to keep up the vibrational frequency so that the body is able to overcome that resistance to normal functioning, because the body is going to heal itself if it possibly can. So everything that we've been talking about and been presented to you is true, and think about it, it's all in the form of energy. Okay? So I have never seen a case of glaucoma where the patient did as they were instructed, that the glaucoma did not reverse. And in the process, the cataracts went away. So this is all amazing to me, because when I was praying for my father's life, and this came into my mind, there was no instruction book. We've had to learn how to do all of this by just doing it. So I don't know what's left out there for people to discover what they can do with this energy, but that's what it is. This instrument does not heal, nor do the foods that you eat heal. It's the body that heals, and the body heals when it has the ability to function. So what we're doing in getting well is giving the body the energy that it needs to overcome the resistance to functioning, because if the body could function, it would heal itself. So that's how simple it is, and that's what we're doing. So it's been a blessing to have, and it was a fight. We had to fight the FDA for years before we finally got this patented. And we recently received another patent on another invention that probably chiropractors or osteopaths would be interested in. So if you're thinking in terms of healing yourself, don't be afraid to try light, because that's what we are. We are light. The first way I got into light was so simple that people don't really want to believe it. My wife was pregnant with our first child, and she announced to me that she was pregnant, and also that she was Rh negative. Well, I'm Rh positive, and Rh positive and Rh negative produce blue babies, and that can be very hard on the child. In fact, the child may not live and could be damaged for the life. So the first thing I did with that information was not give her a hug and congratulate her. I went off to the library to find out what do you do for blue babies, because that really was a concern for me. So as I researched that, the only thing that they really do is they use a blue light on the child, on the infant. And well, what does the blue light do? Well, it seems like the liver becomes congested because it can't handle the two different types of blood. So the blue light seems to stop the inflammation, the liver congestion. So fortunately, neither one of the children had a problem with that. The daughter was born 18 months later, and she is Rh negative too. But Kathy's mother-in-law came to live with us, and she was in her 70s, and she'd had Parkinson's disease for 25 years. And when they moved in, all she did was lay there in bed in the fetal state and whimper, shake and slobber all day long. Whew. My wife wasn't emotionally really that strong, and this was killing her. So off to the research, everything I could find on what do you do for Parkinson's disease. And the more I researched it, the more I began to realize that she was suffering from all the drugs she'd been taking for 25 years. She was a registered nurse, and she was suffering from liver constipation. I went down to the hardware store. I bought one of those clip-on lights. I put a piece of blue plastic over it, had a 40-watt bulb in it, put it over her head, shined it on her head, and in less than a week she was up walking around better than she'd ever been in 10 years. Light is powerful. We are light. We're made of light. God is light. So don't be afraid to use light for whatever purpose that you might need. And I've got a few things in the desk back there to tell you what colors to use for what conditions. I just got the thing that I'm through. Thank you so much. You've been great. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted. Dr. Ted?
Yes.
There's a tremendous amount of work has gone into what he has done, and he'll be here to talk to you the next 3 days. Our next presenter is somebody that you know if you were here last year, Dickie Fuller. And here's Alice Tomasello, who collaborates with her on some of the projects, to introduce her. All right, you ready to go? Push it all the way up. Try that.
I want to tell you about Dickie Fuller quickly. I have had many people pass through my life. Every day when I learn something new, I have to have an expert to call. They have more knowledge, spent more time, personal investment, typically guided by God. Dickie Fuller is one of those people. In my work, because it is global in nature, I have to have global people. Dickie Fuller is a global person. As far as I'm concerned, and many other people, she has single-handedly changed the frequency in most medical doctors and medical professionals as they deal with new ways to cure people. Enzyme research and technology and its application. Connie and I and Judy all use enzymes in our work. Why? Because they work. So here she comes from her busy trip traveling around the world. She decided to stop by Global Science because it is her contribution to community service. And here she is.
I don't need it. Hi there. I just wanted to take a few minutes, because that's what I've got, to just talk to you about something maybe a little different than what I've talked to you in the past. As I've been viewing some of your results, those of you that have been on enzymes for quite some time, I'm seeing a switch and a change, and it has me very, very concerned. So I just wanted to take a moment to tell you that sometimes it is good just to be tested to know if what you're doing is working for you. You know, we hear many, many speakers, we hear many, many theories, and some of us maybe don't always know what to do. And so one of my degrees is health science, and so I just want to give you some information that I know is true. For one thing, Ted was exactly right. Everything is a vibration and everything is light. And when we take in things that is good for us, then we become more light. We make things happen. But what I'm seeing is a lot of you are switching just a little bit, and it's not for the positive. And I just think that maybe we try to do so many good things that we hear about, that we imbalance ourselves. So can I just give you some information that's real, and then you all just take it in and see if it's truth for you. Number one, when you are in mother's womb and you decide to come into this world, or that form is being built, when you're 1 inch, just 1 inch long, that's when your digestive system is formed. And that's it. So it's that 3 to 9 weeks when we begin to build a digestive tract, and by the way, finish it off pretty much within the next 2 weeks after that. It's during this time we make enzymes. And so people will say, well, you know, I'm so sorry that I did this or that because I probably made myself not create enzymes. Well, it's not quite that simple. It's that you were given an ability to make enzymes to digest food and to run everything in your body when you were about 2 inches long, a long time ago, prior to coming into this world. And so now you come into this world and you have a lot of things. We have, as you well know, our environment isn't the healthiest that there could be. And I'm hearing a lot of information like, if you eat food, food doesn't have anything in it anymore. Can I just say something to you? There's 2 things you need to know. First of all, if you take in that food, if it grew, it's got everything it needs, or can't grow. We just can't grow as many crops as we did. But when it grows, it has all the nutrients. But you have to be able to break that food down so that you can get the light, as Ted was talking about, and to get the nutrients that are there. So I'm talking to people here, and I'm finding out that they've read books or they've been given information that we're supposed to be more alkaline or more acid. And so you all are deciding to help things along. In other words, you drink things that make you more alkaline. May I tell you something? You have something in you besides your spirit. You have something that keeps you in balance, because if you're not in balance, your heart stops. And it's called homeostasis. And so when you try to push something, when you try to make something happen, what happens is your body has to respond the other way. So if you take in things that are highly alkaline, you know, and it's too alkaline for where your body is at that moment in time, what does your body have to do? Make acid. If you take in acid foods to try to do certain things, then your body has to respond, and it responds by making alkaline. And what happens is you use up your buffering system. You know what that means? It means that we have osteoporosis. So I want to speak to the women for just a few minutes, because we tend to be the ones that want to do everything just right for ourselves and our family. And as I look out over the audience, many of us are either perimenopause, menopausal, and we're awakening, but our body's doing different things. And if we're stressed, ladies, then we can't make hormones, because when we're stressed, we make a hormone called, cortisol, and cortisol is in the same pathway that our hormones are. So I'd like to say to you, rather than worrying about pushing us one way or pushing us another way, maybe we should just start to work on our stress and try to keep ourselves calm so that we can digest our food. This is real simple. Mother said, if you go to eat when you're stressed, don't eat, because you won't be able to digest your food. And that's because cortisol doesn't hinder digestion, it stops it. So many of you are here working on emotions, you're working on stress, you're trying to shift, you're trying to make things happen. And I would just say to you, go back to what you know to be true. And sometimes we take in our bodies things that we really don't need at that moment in time, and it's creating an imbalance. For instance, if you try to be too alkaline, your body will make acid. What does that mean? It means that you're going to shift the heartbeat of your heart and your blood pressure, and many things are going to take place. So you can't digest food at that moment in time that is alkaline because you're too acid. So let's just talk about something very simple. You take in food. I've been here before. I've tried to tell you this. You want to be acid in your stomach. You don't want to become too alkaline. If you do, you can't digest protein. So if you're trying to alkalize at that moment in time, it's not going to work for you. And it takes 2 hours to 3 hours for that food to pass through to when you're supposed to be alkaline. Now, if you try to be acid, that's not going to work for you because you got to be able to break down those starches, those breads, those carbohydrates. And so there's always this imbalance going on if you try to shift too much. You've heard a lot about probiotics. Those people are very good. That's very true. And many of us have a problem because our imbalance of the bad bacteria has come in from the colon into the small intestine, breeds on the disaccharidases, and then you have sprue, you have gluten intolerances, and I gotta tell you, sometimes you gotta bring yourself into balance. And so taking a lot of vitamins and minerals are coenzymes. Do you know what that means? You use up your enzymes to assist those things to work in your body. So there's a thing called balance. And I just want to tell you that all nutrients are good. All vitamins and minerals are generally very good. Do you need them? How do you know? Well, sometimes you can pinch, sometimes you can test, but it's only at that moment in time. So we say, you know, once in a while you probably ought to just be checked out, make sure, taking the body fluids to see if you're in balance is one way. Taking a look at your cells is another way. Having Alice look at you is another way. Because Alice can see in the body and she can say, well, you've got a blockage here or there. There's a lot of different things, and there's so many of you in here that are wanting to do the very best that you can. You're wanting to make global changes, but you know it begins inside of you. When we try to give off energy and we try to make off global changes and we're out of balance, how much do you think we really do? So I would just say to you today that it's a good idea to think about things. Does this make sense for me? You know, is this for me? If you eat a fat you can't digest, what happens to it? You don't break the fat down very well, but your body will go on making what? Cholesterol, because it normally does. But what you don't know is if you eat a fat you can't break down, you'll make a hormone you don't want. And ladies, it drives breast cancer, and gentlemen, it drives prostate cancer, all from eating a food you didn't break down right. How important is it? If you take in protein you can't break down, you'll make gases. And what does that mean? You become too acid, and that means that you'll then have problems with your gut, you'll have headaches, you'll begin to make these gases throughout your body that will create an imbalance in your energy. If you take in carbohydrates that you can't break down, what happens, yes, it ferments in your colon, but there's more to it. It means that you're making a very fast acid. You say, well, how's that possible? Because fruits and vegetables are alkaline. Your body's a chemistry. Once you take these things in, things change, and they have to break down in those areas that only they can break down in. And they require a certain pH. So say you don't break down your carbohydrates, well, you begin to make a fast acid. And that acid then will use up our buffering system. And where do we get our buffering system? From our bones, osteoporosis, ladies. From our white blood cells, our immune system. And from every part of our body that the body can borrow it from. So to stay in homeostasis, the body will do what it has to do. So I've seen some people that have gone to an extreme because they're trying so hard to take those things that are good for them that they're taking too many of something that their body can't handle. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then the liver can't handle it. The liver does 300 functions that are so important in your body. Are you stressing your liver? Do you know? How do you know? Your kidneys, are they being stressed? Are you drinking enough water? So let's go back to what we know is natural, and if we want to make a global change, we've got to be in balance. We can't shift if we're not in balance. So I believe enzymes create balance. I believe they assist to digest food because that's what they do. And you can take them between meals to assist your body to bring them in balance. So Alice sees how enzymes work in the body from the minute you swallow it, and that's why she gets excited. Yes, I am an enzyme lady. I believe that protease, lipase, polysaccharidic enzymes are for now. And if you really want to balance, if you really want to make a change, it's now. You know, I don't see anybody telling me how much time I have. Who's the timekeeper? Oh, I still have time. Okay, good. Do you have any questions? I know this is simple. I'm going to have a workshop tonight if anybody wants to come, and we're going to be talking about genetically who you are, what you can do to create balance, to give you more information. Transformation, we do have a research center. And I'm sorry, the scientist inside of me, I have to know what's going on. So we have a research center. We have an enzymologist, molecular scientist. You know, in two offices, we have 3 PhDs. Does that mean we're real intelligent? No, it just simply means that we want to know a lot, enough that we'll go to school forever to do it. And so sometimes we have to go to common sense, don't we? But do you know, science just happens to be common sense. It's looking for that which works and trying to prove that which hasn't been proven before. So do you have any questions? Yes? You can stand up if you would, and then I'll repeat your question.
There are so many new products out there, especially or very strong in the multi-level field, and some of them are really truly extraordinary, I believe, and they're coming out of fantastic. And so it's very tempting to get involved with them, for the purpose of using them and helping other people, but also as money-making purposes. And frequently, because they haven't been specifically diagnosed, there's like a little glitch in there between whether or not it's going to be really beneficial for you, so tempted to use them.
So what would your question be in relation to that? I think you're saying, how do you know?
Well, I mean, for instance, myself, I want to use one of those products.
Sure.
It goes through my mind if it's whether or not it's really benefiting me, because most of us in here probably know that how to go through the plumbing system.
Okay. Well, let me just
Repeat
make
the
it
question.
real simple.
Repeat
She
that question.
said, yes, I am. She said, her question was, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people, even in the multi-level, where you can make money promoting certain products, and you want to take them, but how do you know? And so what I want to say to you is, if you're really, really taking a bunch of stuff, you should know if it's working for you or not. And this is how you know. Would you get up in the morning with energy? Or do you sleep sound at night? Is your digestion good? You're not making gas. Every time you eat, you have a bowel movement, and you feel in control, and you feel well. If you're not, then it may not be working for you, because that's how we're supposed to be. You know, when we're children, food in, what? Poop out. It's real simple. And so if you are a type of person that you're only having 1 bowel movement a day, that's a problem. If you have headaches, that's a problem. If you have gas, that's a problem. So if the product you're taking is making you feel good, and you're having all of these things in a positive way, that's one way of knowing without doing blood, urine, or saliva. Okay? Any other question? I've only got just a short time. Yes, sir.
Comment on what's generally known as food combining, or some of the Dr. Henry Beeler information about food is your best medicine. It sounds like you're saying a lot of similar things. Is that correct?
We're similar but different.
So say
Food combining, they tell you that you should eat the same food at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is they're saying then wait a half an hour to eat another one. It's still in your stomach for 2 to 3 hours. So that's where we're different. But it's not wrong, and if it works for you, for many people, they don't have as much gas. So to me, that's a positive thing. You know, if you're not gaseous, and you say, what does that mean? It means that you're rotting a little bit. Gas isn't a good thing. And I know some of you men just walk around with it all the time and think that everybody has it. You're wrong. You know, you need to digest your food better. So if you want to know more about that, come tonight. We'll have a good time, and I'll be able to answer a lot of questions if you have them. And it's a privilege to be here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dickie. It was a bonus for us to be able to present those 3 people to you.